It started with a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind of place where lawns were neatly trimmed, kids rode bikes after school, and everyone waved politely when passing by. But behind the calm surface, tensions often brewed when people forgot the unwritten rule of respect for their neighbors. And this story begins with one such neighbor, a woman who the entire community had nicknamed Karen. Karen wasn't just any neighbor. She was on the Homeowners Association board, the HOA, and she loved reminding everyone of her authority. She nitpicked about grass being a quarter-inch too high, trash cans being left out for 5 minutes too long, and even the color of holiday lights. She thrived on rules, but strangely enough, she didn't like following them herself. One evening, a man named Marcus, who lived just 2 houses down, noticed something strange. He had installed a home security camera in his driveway, mostly to keep an eye on his tools and equipment. Reviewing the footage, he noticed an odd pattern. His outdoor power outlet, the one he used for holiday lights, had been tampered with. And right there on the footage, he saw Karen pulling up her shiny white Tesla. She looked around quickly, then plugged her car into his outlet. At first, Marcus thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she thought it was a community outlet, or maybe she had plugged in accidentally. He decided to let it go the first time. But when he checked the camera again the next morning, there it was, clear as day. Karen had come back in the middle of the night and plugged in again. Now, Marcus wasn't against helping neighbors. But this wasn't just a one-time emergency. Karen wasn't asking for permission. She wasn't leaving a note. She wasn't offering to pay for the electricity. She was simply stealing it. Every single night. Soon, Marcus noticed his electric bills creeping higher. A few extra dollars the first month, then more the next. A Tesla takes a lot of power to charge, and she was taking it all from him. Marcus decided to confront her politely. One afternoon, he walked over and said, "Hey Karen, I think there might be a misunderstanding. My security camera caught your Tesla plugged into my outlet. Did you mean to use my power?" Karen didn't even flinch. She rolled her eyes and said, "Well, it's just electricity. It doesn't cost you that much. Besides, I'm on the HOA board, so technically, all community resources are shared." Marcus was stunned. "Community resources?" he repeated. "That's my private outlet, on my private property." Karen smirked and said, "Well, if you don't like it, maybe I'll bring it up at the next HOA meeting. You wouldn't want a fine for something else, would you?" That was the moment Marcus realized she wasn't going to stop. She felt entitled, and she was using her position on the HOA as a shield. So, he came up with a plan. Marcus was an electrical engineer by trade. He knew the ins and outs of wiring, voltage, and how to protect his own property. He decided he was done being taken advantage of. One weekend, while Karen was out, Marcus installed a special device on his outdoor outlet. It looked like a regular plug, but inside, it was designed to handle surges, and send them right back into whatever was drawing too much power. For his own tools and equipment, it was safe. But for someone carelessly plugging in without permission, it would deliver a nasty surprise. The next night, like clockwork, Karen crept over with her Tesla. She glanced around, thinking no one was watching, and plugged in. She left the car overnight, smug as ever. At around 3 in the morning, Marcus's device activated. A sudden surge of power ran through the line. To Karen's Tesla, it was like a lightning strike. The car's system tried to regulate it, but the surge was too strong. By the time she came out in the morning, ready to drive off, her car was completely dead. Karen panicked. She tried starting it again and again, but the dashboard lit up with error messages. The battery, the most expensive part of her Tesla, had been fried. Marcus, sipping coffee from his porch, pretended to notice her for the first time. "Something wrong with your car?" he asked calmly. Karen exploded. "What did you do? My Tesla won't start. It says the battery is damaged." Marcus raised his eyebrows. "Oh, that's odd. You weren't charging it on my property again, were you? Because I told you, that's stealing." Karen stammered, trying to come up with an excuse, but the security footage didn't lie. Marcus had hours of evidence of her plugging in night after night. And now, with her car fried, she had no one to blame but herself. She threatened to call the police, but when officers arrived and Marcus calmly showed them the footage, the tables turned. The police reminded her that stealing electricity is still theft. Not only was she responsible for her own damaged car, but she could also be fined for her behavior. Word spread quickly around the neighborhood. The very same Karen who loved to enforce HOA rules had been caught breaking the law herself. Neighbors who had been victims of her bullying for years suddenly felt a little freer. She stopped attending HOA meetings. She stopped patrolling the streets with her clipboard. And she definitely never plugged into anyone else's outlets again. As for Marcus, he got his peace of mind back, and more than a few thank yous from neighbors who were secretly cheering him on. The lesson was clear: respect goes both ways. You can't demand it if you don't give it. And sometimes, when you keep taking advantage of others, karma finds a way to strike back, in this case, with a surge strong enough to fry a Tesla.